The markets are moody and the stocks are sulking. Is the world headed for a global recession? That is the question tonight. And economists of all colors and stripes are divided as to where the world economy is going in the face of Trump tariffs. World leaders are reacting to what President Trump dubbed yesterday as the Liberation Day of America. France is stopping any investment in the US. Canada is slapping the US auto industry with a 25% tariff. In Kenya, the government is striking a positive note. The tarified world of Trump, where will it lead the world next? Good evening and thank you very much for joining us. You're right on time for the most comprehensive bulletin on the eastern seaboard of Africa. My name is O'Brien Kimani. We have a lot lined up for you. And later on this bulletin, we shall be focusing on investment portfolio. Today's investor is becoming suave and tech savvy. So where are the investment opportunities? Welcome to the bulletin. We have all that plus more. But first of all, let's get a feel of the highlights first.
Mimi sikubaliani na ule mama ambaye alisema huyo controller budget alisema ya kwamba ati county governments hawafai kupatiana bursary.
Out of order. President Ruto tells the controller of budget over a directive barring counties from issuing bursaries.
Our friends in ODM openly signed agreement with Kenya Kwanza outside Kenyatta Conference Center. In my view, that marked the end of Azimio.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka says ODM ceased from being in Azimio the moment the Raila Odinga-led party closed ranks with Kenya Kwanza. Governors walked back on their 14-day ultimatum to shut down services after National Treasury commits to release 38 billion shillings to the counties. It's great to have you tonight. Welcome to the Prime Edition. Brian Muraru is our sign language interpreter. President William Ruto has poked holes on a circular issued by Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango stopping county governors from issuing bursaries to students on grounds of duplication. The president faulted the directive, saying it was out of tune with the needs of the people, saying learners from needy families, both at the national and county level, should be assisted. Our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim has details of day 3 of President's working tour, where he visited Murang'a and Nyandarua counties.
On the third day of the President's working tour of central Kenya, he visited Nyandarua and Murang'a counties respectively.
Mimi sikubaliani na ule mama ambaye alisema huyo controller budget alisema ya kwamba ati county governments hawafai kupatiana bursary.
It is during his developmental tour in Kangema, Murang'a County, that the head of state dismissed the circular by the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakango, blocking governors from issuing bursaries to students in the devolved unit.
Na hata walikuwa wamekataa ati county governments watitoe chakula kwa watoto. Mimi nataka nikubaliane na wewe Bwana Kang'ata, na wewe Council of Governors, mfanye kazi pamoja na sisi ili tukubaliane ama tumueleze Controller of Budget umuhimu ya kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtoto anapata bursary. Kama pesa inatoka national government ama inatoa county government, ni watoto wa Kenya na ni pesa ya Kenya.
The president maintained during his tenure no students will be denied financial aid. At the same time, the president noted that milk, tea, coffee and other farmers will receive fair prices for their produce.
na shida ya kahawa ni kwamba kulikuwa na watu pale matapeli, watu wakora. Mtu mmoja ako na license ati yeye ni mkulima, yeye ni mila, yeye ni broker, yeye ndiye ananunua kahawa yetu kule kwa Nairobi Coffee Exchange.
Mimi sasa ndio Deputy President, kazi yangu ni kusaidia rais kufuatilia ile maendeleo amesema, ile miradi imebaki, mimi ndio nitakuja nifuatilie ili ikamilike haraka.
2027 politics also took center stage.
Mimi kama waziri, hata wakijaribu kunifuruta niende nitoke nje ya serikali, mnafikiria nitatoka?
Tangu Tuesday, majameni wenzetu wa Kenya, tangu Tuesday mheshimiwa amezindua miradi na miradi. Sio ile ya kuambiana ati itakuja.
Your Excellency, sasa huyu mama mzuri na ameitikia kufanya kazi na wewe ni wa kuwekwa nyuma, na unajua wewe ni rafiki yangu. Wacha tuchape kazi, na kabla miaka 5 iishe tuone His Excellency atakuwa ametufanyia kazi mpaka wapi.
Tuache mambo ya siasa ya ugomvi na chuki na mambo ya ukabila. Tuungane pamoja. Wapi haya sasa tufanye namna hiyo? Asante sana.
Na msiwekwe uoga na hawa watu wa kupiga kelele, si ndio? Kelele wapige, sisi tuangalie mambo ya kazi.
Sisi tunasema tunaendelea kusonga na kasongo.
Ni KBB 10 bila break.
Wale wanawadanganya msikuwe registered, hao wako registered. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri sana usiseme haifanyi kazi. Register, utaona inafanya.
During the central tour, the president assessed the ongoing construction of a 142-bed capacity J.M. Kariuki Memorial County Referral Hospital, flagged off the last-mile electricity connectivity project at the Juakali stage in Olkalau town, inspected the Olkalau affordable housing, and laid the foundation stone for Engineer Modern Market. In Muranga, the commander-in-chief inspected Karugia Market, Kaihi and Maragua Ridge irrigation projects, and laid a foundation stone at the Makuyu affordable housing. President William Ruto and his deputy, Professor Kithure Kindiki, are expected to tour Embu and Tharaka Nithi tomorrow. Abdiaziz Hashim from Muranga County, Prime Edition.
Thank you very much, Abdiaziz Hashim. 4 candidates eyeing to be commissioners to the electoral body IEBC appeared before the Nelson Makanda-led selection panel, where they were grilled on their suitability. Eliud Wanjau Ngige, a former gubernatorial running mate in Kirinyaga, was among those who were hard-pressed to explain how he would address the challenges facing the commission. Meanwhile, Esther Nanjala Wekesa, who was among those expected to be interviewed, failed to turn up. Ben Chumba with the report.
Like in the last elections, we had over 900...
Solutions. We are looking for solutions.
Eliud Wanjau Ngige, who ran as gubernatorial running mate in Kirinyaga during the 2022 general elections, was the first to face the panel Thursday. Although he lost in the race, Ngige faced intense scrutiny from the Nelson Makanda-led team, who pressed him on how he will tackle the ongoing challenges faced by the IEBC as the country prepares for the 2027 elections.
People who are looking at the system should be able to have access to the system, be able to appreciate who logged when, what time, and what did he do. Because...
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are not an IT expert, are you?
No, but I have thoroughly schooled myself in IT issues.
Next to be interviewed was 48-year-old Erastus Ethekon, a human rights lawyer and former Storehe Boys Center alumnus, who was back in yet another attempt to secure a position at the commission as a commissioner. Ethekon emphasized that his skills in leadership and conflict resolution will be vital in resolving any electoral disputes.
How would you help reduce the expenditure towards election and make our elections a bit cheaper?
For me, whatever the amount we arrive at, it should be that which is necessary for us to conduct a free, fair, credible, verifiable, transparent elections. So it's about cost optimization.
Farida Abdallah was questioned on how she will safeguard sensitive voter data and maintain the integrity of IEBC's information systems.
we need to strengthen our regulations, our law surrounding the data protection. Because we need to look, as a commission, whether those laws which are there, are they sufficient to ensure that the data is protected? We need to evaluate and audit our systems. Do they provide enough security for them not to be hacked?
Meanwhile, Dr. Ezekiel Kibet-Tanui, a PhD holder in public policy and management, was grilled on his strategy to protect IEBC's technology systems from potential cyber attacks and how he would respond if technological failure was to disrupt the voting process.
You'll explain to the IT team that you want to protect this technology, and obviously they will have to come up with what we require to do, because it is the business who tells them what they need to do.
What if all technology fails on the day of voting?
Chair, we will use the manual register.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Narok Senator Ledama Olekina has rallied the Ma community to back the broad-based government. While decrying years of marginalization, Olekina says the broad-based government presents the best opportunity for the Ma community to wade into unexploited opportunities. Olekina, who was in Kajiado for an economic empowerment program, said his quest is to have the community speak in one voice and bargain for its pace of national politics.
80 Village, Sajiloni, Kajiado County. The venue of what will probably turn out to be the center of a new dawn in the politics of the Ma communities spread across the counties of Kajiado, Narok, Baringo, Samburu, Laikipia and Marsabit. Narok Senator Ledama Olekina organizing a unity meeting in Kajiado that he says will traverse counties hosting the Ma community. The meeting was first rocked by headwinds after Kajiado Senator Lenku Seki, who is said to have been opposed to Olekina's bid, alongside Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku, attempted to forcibly access the meeting, leading to a brief standoff. When order was finally restored, Olekina came out guns blazing, accusing the governor and the senator of being obsessed with kingpinship politics.
Sisi wa Masai wote tuko na kura 1,600,000. Lakini hatuwezi pewa viti, hatupati makazi kwa sababu tumegawanyika kila siku.
Olekina rallied the Ma community to resolve to back the broad-based government to reap from the renewed inclusion efforts by government.
Kiongozi wangu Raila Amolo Odinga amenifunza vitu mingi sana. Amekwenda wakashikana na President William Ruto. Mimi nikaona nafasi, nikasema lazima nishikanishe wa Masai wote, ili pia sisi wakati ile masipitali inapatiwa kaunti zingine, kaunti zetu za Wamasai zinapatiwa hizo masipitali.
The optics of the meeting would not go unnoticed, with Olekina leading the attendance in endorsing State House Comptroller Katoo Olemetito for Kajiado governorship in 2027.
Broad-based government. Na katika kila county tuko na candidates wetu. Kwa hii county tuko na Mheshimiwa Katoo ndio candidate wa governor wetu. Wale wengine wachague wao wa Munyororo, wakitaka wachague wengine wanataka, tukutane kwa debe, tupigane kwa sera.
The meeting also saw the Narok Senator begin an economic empowerment program, awarding struggling families with pedigree bulls and goats. Though it was dubbed a unity meeting, the cracks within the Ma community leadership were evident, as almost the entire leadership of Kajiado, Narok, Laikipia and Samburu counties gave the meeting a wide berth. Even the one who attempted to access the meeting was ejected forcefully. This meeting, according to Senator Ledama Olekina, will crisscross all the 5 counties where the Ma community is spread out. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Many thanks, John Jacob Curia. The country could face another major vaccine stockout by mid this year if the government does not meet its financing obligations, which will impact the health of millions of children in the country. The Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, KWOPA, the Health NGO Network, KENET, and other stakeholders have raised concerns over delays by the government of Kenya to pay the required 1.2 billion shillings required under the Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization Gavi agreement to procure the vaccines needed in the country. They have now called on the Ministry of Health and the National Treasury to take immediate action to fulfill this obligation.
Kenya has made significant strides in child health over the years, this largely attributed to improved immunization coverage. However, the gains could be eroded if Kenya does not meet its financing obligation. Kenya was by March 30th this year supposed to pay 1.2 billion shillings as part of its financing obligation under the agreement with the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, Gavi. The delays could, however, see the country face a major vaccine stockout by June this year.
When we meet our part of the obligation, then Gavi will release the bulk of the money for the other vaccines. Now, what does this mean? It translates to about 6 million doses. So what this simply means is that if we do not pay our obligation, 6 million doses will not come into the country. So we are talking probably over 6 million children missing essential and life-saving vaccines.
Women Parliamentary Association KWOPA, the Health NGO Network KENET, and other stakeholders have raised concerns over the financing delays by the Kenyan government under the Gavi agreement, noting this could compromise the health of children in the country.
The very real threat of vaccine stockouts that will directly impact the health of millions of children across the country. We issue an urgent call to the Ministry of Health and the National Treasury to take immediate action to fulfill this obligation.
And we want to make sure that no child misses immunization at the right time. Now, HENET has been very, very active in that space with all the over 100 NGOs that, and civil society bodies that are its members in making sure that we lobby government to put a good amount of money for us to be able to be self-reliant when it comes to immunization.
Speaking during an awareness forum, KWOPA said it remains committed to ensure vaccine equity and access to all Kenyan children.
As a government, we should also put our efforts there so that we budget for this, where instead of just depending on the outsiders to support us, because you know they support us today and tomorrow they pull out, and when they pull out, then the question is what will happen to our children. So for me, it is the best thing we can do is to push and put this in the budget so that our young people can be well protected.
With the June 30th, 2025 deadline fast approaching, stakeholders have urged the government to meet its part of the immunization budget for the upcoming 2025-2026 budget cycle. While Kenya has co-financing plan with Gavi for the next 4 years, the country is supposed to fully transition to full vaccine financing by the year 2029, having acquired the status of lower middle income economy.
You're watching the Prime Edition with me, O'Brien Kimani. We're coming to you live from Broadcasting House. This is our national headquarters. We are taking a short break, and thereafter we'll be back with more stories.
Town Express! Twende, town! Okay, town, bado haijajaa dere, watu wengine 7.
Kwani wazako sungekulia kwenu. Sasa umetoka wapi? Mimi sitaki mahindi leo.
Wewe unanichie mkate.
Siagusi mkate fubi.
Wewe ongea bora usikuze mkate yangu.
Usishike hivi. Nataka kukulia huko mbali na mimi. Si mimi nakulamiwa ni wewe.
Donda, gari imejaa na bado unasema watu waingie. Tuambie ndare hapo apunguze wimbo. Niongea na kama hapa.
Hakuna volume inapunguzwa hapa. Kama unataka kuendesha gari yako, enda dial *570# option ya 3. Watu wanaendesha magari hapa nje na wewe bado unapiga nyenyenye kwa matatu.
Option 3,
unalipa ama unasuka?
Comfort yako iko kwa *570# option 3.
Master Denio moja safi, reliable, modern safety and security features. Cheza mara kadhaa ujaze entry ticket Sacco kwenye draw ili uimarishe uwezo wa kushinda. Mshindi tunamtangaza 27th of April na gari tutakufikishia. Unaenda ama weni?
Mimi sindi na madri nishainuka na star 570 hash.
Inuka na Denio kwa star 570 hash option 3.
Asante.
The world of governance is vast and can be alien to the ordinary man on the street. Critical issues are going to be discussed. From white papers to policy positions, it is easier to get lost in the labyrinth of words.
Inside Government takes you to key global metropolis where critical decisions are made and where policies are crafted.
We interview policymakers and senior government officials to highlight and enumerate government policies and projects. We take a deep dive into the underbelly of complex red tape to demystify policies across the country, across the world. Join me, O'Brien Kimani, on Inside Government, only on KBC Channel 1. This is the Prime Edition. Welcome back. Reproductive health stakeholders are calling for the removal of an age limit for persons seeking reproductive health services in a bid to increase access to the services, especially among teenagers. The proposal has already begun to spark debate with the Ministry of Health officials. Instead of advocating for greater sensitization of the youth on the need to delay their sexual debut. Nancy Okware with the details of the proposal that is likely to reignite the conversation on reproductive health among teenagers.
Teenage pregnancies in Kenya remain a major concern, with 15% of girls aged between 15 to 19 years reported to have conceived. According to reproductive health actors, sexually transmitted infections, HIV and gender-based violence remain a major challenge owing to limited access to reproductive health services for teens.
We have adolescents who are adults, who are 18 and 19 years old, who can be able to consent for adolescent health services. But we also have adolescents who are minors, who, according to the law, are considered children. And what the law says is that for any child to access any form of health services, which includes reproductive health services, they have to get consent from the parent.
To this end, the stakeholders are calling for a review of existing policies to accommodate the needs of the society.
Legislators, policymakers, and community members are able to reach a consensus on what could be the most progressive laws as far as age of consent to reproductive health care is concerned. Legislators are beginning the conversation to ensure that they are able to put in place laws that protect minors, but at the same time ensure universal access to health care, including reproductive health. Protect service providers, especially healthcare providers, so that when they offer service, they are not caught up in legal battles with parents.
Child health reproductive players in the Ministry of Health, on the other hand, are calling on parents, teachers and other stakeholders to play an active role in advocating for abstinence as a better strategy.
To help the parents have teachable moments with their children, to try and delay sexual debut as long as possible so that the adolescents and the children can attain the highest standard of education and opportunities for them to have better lives.
We need to work with Ministry of Education so that also they can also create awareness at the school level. What will happen if you engage in sex? If you delay, you'll stay in school. If you stay in school, you'll be more successful.
With these challenges mirroring across the region, a campaign dubbed Access to Reproductive Health to Adolescents has been ongoing since 2020, targeting Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Zambia and Malawi. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Well, a kitchen garden program under the Mama Doing Good initiative by the First Lady Rachel Ruto has received a major boost following a move by the Ministry of Agriculture to support its rollout in schools and households across the 47 counties. Speaking during its official launch in Nairobi, Agriculture Principal Secretary Kiprono Rono noted that as part of the commitment, the ministry will deploy trained personnel with necessary equipment and seedlings to assist in setting up the kitchen garden. The initiative is expected to boost food nutrition security in the country.
So improve household access to fresh vegetables and fruits, reduce reliance on expensive and less nutritious food options. We also intend to enhance dietary diversity, thereby combating malnutrition and diet-related diseases.
I urge each one of us to champion the Mama Kitchen Garden initiative in your communities. Let us work together to ensure that every household has the knowledge and resources it requires to create its own sustainable kitchen gardens.
Launching these gardens, I would love for them to also not forget special schools, special needs schools across the country. There are over 200, and I would love there to be a garden in each and every one of them, and support given in maintenance and capacity building therein.
You know, when you say Mama is doing good, in Turkana, Mama is not doing good. And I want these gardens to be taken to Turkana, both horizontal, vertical, and circular, and all of them.
I am ready. I will carry it. I will work with you. We shall make sure that it is a success.
Because as you have seen, everyone was doing their own initiative differently. But I think now that you say we have an app, we have advice, we have a coordinated way of being able to do it, we shall be able to do that.
Elsewhere, governors have withdrawn their 14-day ultimatum to shut down services in counties. The decision to withdraw the ultimatum issued 2 weeks ago follows a deal between the national and county governments that will see counties receive 38.4 billion shillings. This was received by the Council of Governors Vice Chair Mutahi Kahiga in Nairobi during the unveiling of the 2025 Devolution Conference. Kahiga also faulted the national government for what it termed as persistent interference of county affairs.
For the 9th year in a row, the Council of Governors on Thursday officially unveiled the annual Devolution Conference set to be held between 12th to 15th August in Homa Bay County. Governor says this year's conference will seek to address equity, inclusion and social justice issues arising from, among others, the June 2024 Gen Z protests.
This year's theme on equity, inclusion and social justice speaks to the very heart of the needs of our people as we forge a path towards a more just and inclusive society in our land.
We want young people to continue to take charge of their country and of their resources and of their county governments, and we want them to come and explore ways on how they can plug into the Devolution Conference.
Despite considerable progress in the delivery of services in the counties, the governors allege interference from the national government. Vice Chairperson Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga says the national government continued performance of devolved functions is a ploy to undermine devolution.
Kuna mambo mengi ambayo yanatendeka. Ukiangalia katika wizara ya afya imegatuliwa yote, lakini sasa jiulize ni nani alileta SHA, nani alileta hivyo vitu. Ukiangalia pia nenda katika ukulima pia ni umegatuliwa, lakini tazama jinsi mambo yanavyoendelea.
Despite the push and pull, governors have dropped their plan to suspend services in counties after reaching an agreement with the national government to restore funds that were allegedly diverted from the 2025 supplementary budget.
Tulipoketi na Mheshimiwa Badi, tulikubaliana hizo fedha ambazo zilikuwa zimetolewa, tukaangalia na tukahakikisha kwamba bilioni 25 zitarejeshwa, na akaandika barua kule Senate ambayo ilipitishwa. Kwa hivyo hatutafunga counties.
Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
Elsewhere, the Technical Working Group on Gender-Based Violence kicked off a countrywide public participation exercise Thursday. The exercise, which started in Nairobi, was characterized by harrowing tales from participants who shared details of their personal stories of the physical, mental and sexual abuse. This comes as the Technical Working Group Chair Nancy Baraza confirmed they had received overwhelming responses from the public.
Thursday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, the Nancy Baraza-led Technical Working Group on Gender-Based Violence kicked off a public participation exercise to gather views that would inform their final report on how to tackle the challenge of femicide and other gender-based violations. Baraza confirmed they have received overwhelming proposals even as they began in-person discussions across the country.
We also had put out a public notice for memoranda. We have received overwhelming numbers of memoranda, which we are going through, which we are analyzing to form part of our report and recommendations. But for public hearing, this is the first one, but we intend to go out to all the counties so that we fulfill the constitutional mandate of public participation.
Some of the participants shared details of atrocities committed against them, with members of the technical working group pledging to ensure the final recommendations will speak to the concerns and suggest solutions to ending femicide and GBV cases.
There was a case in Nakuru where a murderer was got into the scene dumping a body of a sex worker. We have never succeeded in any case in court.
You have heard what these women are saying, being gang raped by police themselves. I think those are things from where we sat. I'm sure Kenyans don't know that is what is going on with women. We are all horrified.
The public participation exercise will continue in Nairobi on Friday. The group had 90 days to gather views and write the report, which lapses in 9 days. For Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
The Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka now says the ODM ceased to be part of the Azimio coalition the moment it joined ranks with the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition. Speaking at Umoja Summit Party's annual delegation convention in Nairobi on Thursday, the former vice president, however, said that he respects the Orange Democratic Movement Party leader's choice to work with the government.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka was on Thursday in Umoja in Nairobi County, attending the Summit Party's annual delegates convention. It is here that he expressed his displeasure with how the Orange Democratic Movement Party disassociated itself from other Azimio coalition parties after joining the Kenya Kwanza administration.
When our friends in ODM openly signed agreement with Kenya Kwanza outside Kenyatta Conference Center, in my view, that marked the end of Azimio. So we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic because Wiper Democratic Movement cannot remain alone.
Kalonzo, however, said will never turn his guns on ODM party leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, despite the latter's decision to join forces with President William Ruto.
We have developed personal relationships and respect for each other. Nobody will ever hear me attacking Raila Odinga because that is not my DNA. But we will respect each other's choices.
This as National Liberal Party leader Augustine Kialomuli challenged the remarks made by the opposition leaders, among them Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua and Eugene Wamalwa, signaling their firm rejection of the newly appointed chairperson and commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, unless they are involved in the selection process.
The National Liberal Party strongly condemns the hypocrisy displayed by a section of prominent opposition leaders, including Honorable Martha Karua, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, in their recent statements on the composition of the IEBC. These leaders have no moral authority to lecture Kenyans on this matter, given that just last year, they aggressively fought to ensure their own allies were included in the IEBC selection panel.
Elsewhere, members of the ODM party in Homa Bay County cited inconsistencies in the list of the grassroots delegates said to participate in the election scheduled for Monday and Wednesday next week.
We don't expect any chaos. And if somebody plans to be chaotic, we are telling you that with us we'll go to the polling station, vote, elect our leaders, walk away and go back home. When the time comes to voice the party positions,
the committee affirms that elections were successfully conducted in all the polling stations within the county, including those mentioned by the acting county coordinating chairperson. No individual has come forward to challenge the election results in these areas.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Let's now turn our focus onto the business world, where Kenya says the new tariffs imposed by the United States will not have a major impact on trade relations between the two countries. On Wednesday, the United States slapped Kenya with a 10% reciprocal tariff. Kenya was among 90 countries slapped with tariffs by U.S. President Donald Trump. Trade Cabinet Secretary Lee Kenyanjui says this is an opportunity to boost investment in Kenya's textile and value addition sectors to enhance the country's global competitiveness edge.
Today, U.S. President Donald Trump signed a major executive order imposing different tariffs on more than 90 countries that export to the U.S.
Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world.
Trump also imposed a 10% baseline tariff on imports, impacting Kenya's exports to the United States.
This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly.
Trade between Kenya and the United States stood at $1.5 billion, with Kenya selling goods valued at $728 million to the U.S. Kenya sold apparel, textile, coffee, tea, and edible fruits and nuts to the United States. Trade Cabinet Secretary Lee Kenyanjui says despite the higher costs, Kenya could gain a competitive advantage as an alternative sourcing destination. A statement by the CES says the tariffs are an opportunity to boost investment in Kenya's textile sectors. KBC Channel 1 spoke to the public policy analyst Leonard Kafafa, who says the move aligns with Kenya's existing 10% duty on American imports, noting that the tariffs' overall impact may be minimal as Kenya's main export markets remain Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia.
Yeah, we don't have too much going to the US, so we are not that affected. We are unlike South Africa, say for instance, that does a lot of export and is the biggest import market in Africa by volume because it imports a lot of raw materials from the rest of the world for its car manufacturing industry or car assembling industry. And a lot of these assembled motor vehicles find their way to the US. So they will be hard hit.
Kafafa warns that the directive overrides previous trade agreements, including the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, set to expire in September unless the deal is renegotiated.
We still have quite a long way to go before we can say we are self-sufficient like the US. We can work with the rest of the continent so that we receive from the continent what we don't have and we give to the continent what it needs from us.
This policy shift comes as Kenya and the US continue negotiations under the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership.
So a middle ground will be found eventually that will be to the mutual benefit of the US and Kenya. So this is a good time to come in to improve on our manufacturing, to look at what products we can send out to the US and to work accordingly to tap into the US market while we have the advantage on our side.
While the new tariff may not cause immediate disruptions, it will surely upend the global trade order.
The longest, America has carried the world with it, and it is now saying it can no longer do that. It's not tenable for the American people to carry the rest of the world. So Trump is basically forcing the rest of the world's hand onto the negotiation table.
For now, Kenyan exports targeting the US market must brace for higher costs in an evolving global trade landscape. Whether negotiations will offer Kenya a reprieve remains uncertain, but as trade dynamics shift, businesses must adapt. Weri Mujenga for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Weri Mujenga, for that report. And of course, we'll be keeping tabs of that just to know where the tariff heads next. Security and surveillance is being beefed up in tourist attraction sites as Kenya targets to enhance the travel experience. Mombasa County Commissioner Mohamed Nur Hassan is urging the public to report suspicious activities and individuals within their areas to improve security.
This development comes in the wake of reports of criminals targeting tourists.
Unapokuwa na utovu wa usalama wa aina yoyote, taswira yetu kama mji wa Mombasa na kituo chochote cha kitalii kinakuwa na jina mbaya. Ndio sababu sisi kama wadau tunakuja pamoja kuweza kusema kwamba kuna juhudi nyingi sana tunasikiza kutoka kwa vitengo vya usalama kwamba kuna mikakati mingi ambayo imeweza kuwekeza kuhakikisha kwamba eneo zima la pwani linakuwa na usalama. Licha ya hayo tunaona kwamba we still have pockets of insecurity. Masuala ambayo yanapelekea kuharibu jina nzuri la eneo hili la kitalii.
Investigations are ongoing over an incident earlier this week at the popular tourist site Pembes and Ndovu on Moi Avenue in Mombasa.
Already kuna askari wana patrol hapa, lakini siku hiyo sijui walisema walikuwa pande hiyo nyingine kulikuwa na maneno. Lakini hapa inakuwa na askari permanent. But to ensure that they are visible and they are seen, we shall put the police booth here to ensure hapa kuna usalama ya kutosha.
Mombasa County Commissioner termed the incident unfortunate and isolated that should not dampen Kenya's tourism outlook.
And we want to tell our visitors who are coming for Eastern, Mombasa is safe. Karibuni, mkuje mujijinjoy Mombasa as a tourist destination. We assure you of top-notch security na tusikubali kuchukua porojo ambazo zinaenezwa na watu ambaye hawafahamu Mombasa vile watu wanakaa.
To all our visitors, we hope the magical experiences will attract you back in the coming season and beyond. Lastly, as we head to Easter holidays, we reassure all our visitors that Mombasa and the wider Kenyan coast remain safe, welcoming and open.
They say the government will deploy more security to man tourist attractions to avert such incidents. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Maisha ilikuwa ni yako.
Maisha ni yako.
Maisha ni yangu, ni kweli?
Wewe bangwingwe.
Mimi si bangwingwi, ni kweli? Na kuuliza namna hivi, wewe nilikupepa kwa pikipiki?
Hapana.
Sikukupepa, si ndio? Na nikielelekani unaleta hapa ambaye mimi sikuelewi.
Mimi na wewe nani akona kelele? Wewe unataka kushindana na maji nguvu?
Ai nitakuchapa.
Wewe na wewe utamchapa, unamchapa nini?
Sasa mbona sasa ananipotezea wakati?
Kama huna maswali unyamaza.
You are so arrogant. You had the audacity ya kuniambia nikikufa nitazikwa kwa shamba yenu.
Na ni ukweli nikikufa nitazikwa kwa shamba yenu. Lakini hiyo siku she was forcing me to cross the water inside the water mheshimiwa, which is I refused. Sorry yoyo.
Sasa wewe na huyu bibi yako ni nani yuko nomo? Nani yuko nomo?
Sisi wote hatuko nomo mheshimiwa.
Na ni kweli hamko nomo. Ikiwa huyu ndio bibi na wewe ndio bwana, hapo panda kazi.
You're watching Prime Edition with me, your bride, Kimani. Time now for us to focus on investment matters. And of course, we just want to have a look at the investment landscape here in Kenya. And of course, we're talking to John Kamau. He's the head of growth and customer experience excellence at Avocap Asset Managers, one of the latest asset managers in Kenya, which came into the market last year, mid last year. Thank you very much indeed, John Kamau. Before we dive into the conversation of today, you were telling me something about the Donald Trump tariffs.
Yes.
What were you saying?
I'm saying that this is a time of realignment in the global trade sphere, because you have seen what has happened. The US is now, Trump is blowing the trumpet. And when Trump is blowing the trumpet, then everyone has to take a dance floor. And so this is a time of a lot of realignment, 10% reciprocal tariff here for us in Kenya. So we want to see how the government will respond, whether to go to the negotiation table or how that will affect. Of course, for us as a country, because of our trade relationship with the US, in terms of volumes of trade, it might not have a very high impact immediately. But of course, because this is not something that is just being imposed in Kenya, then we could see a lot of realignment, shift in terms of trade, looking for partners. So basically a time of realignment in the trade, global trade sphere. Yes.
I mean, of course, when you look at trade between Kenya and the US, you're looking at a trade value of about 1.5 billion US dollars, and that's quite small. I mean, when you look at the bigger scheme of things, you know, vis-a-vis countries like China, where they talk about hundreds of billions of dollars, you know, every year.
Yeah.
But if we find ourselves in a situation whereby we are going into the negotiation room with the Americans, what would be our leverage point?
First of all, as you're saying, rightly putting it, our biggest, if you look at the trade volumes that we move between us and the US, it's relatively smaller compared to our trade volumes with Europe, the Middle East, and the, China and the Eastern Asian countries. But we don't forget the fact that we have a very special agreement, the AGOA agreement that is coming to an end unless it is renewed later this year. So, and we all know how that affects us in terms of even the volume of goods that we move. Much of the 1.5 billion. Last year, I think we traded about shy of $800 million to the US, and much of it was in the AGOA Pact. So this, as much as it is a small pact of trade compared to what we do with the other countries, but it still has a lot of effect. And therefore, we want to see how the government reacts. We want to see how that realignment will be, so that now we safeguard the little that we are trying to grow in terms of our relationship, our business relationship with the US. Yeah.
From where you see it, do you think the world is likely to enter into a recession?
We might likely see that. Of course, the world has become a global village. And when one part of the country, one part of the world is affected, then the whole, it's almost like a chain. So we, from the numbers that we've seen in the recent past, the slowing growth in the GDP of major countries. We've seen now there's China, which was going at the peak and now slowing down. So we are likely to see ourselves go into recession. But let's see how this new tariff ball plays. Yes,
definitely. I mean, John and me, we shall be here just, of course, to see where this conversation is going next. Let's now get into the topic of today. And of course, we just want to have a look at Kenya's investment climate. I just want, first of all, to hear this from you. You started operations in June last year.
Yes.
So now you're how many months into the market? About 9?
10 months.
10 months
end
now,
of this month, yes.
How has the market reacted to your entry?
I can say that we are very fortunate coming into the market when there's a lot of financial literacy, financial wokeness. What felt like, it's a reserve for a few people, investments. Everyone is now talking about how do we make money in the capital market, in the investments. So the reception has been quite good. We are entering into the market when there is a lot of hype, a lot of knowledge, and therefore we are finding it quite easy. What we now need to do, what we are currently doing, is a lot of realignment, because people normally chase, when it comes to investments, the first thing they normally chase is returns. And that should not, as much as it's a good thing to chase, it's not always the first thing to chase. You look at so many things that are into play before you get into an investment. Yes.
What segment of the market do you find exciting?
In terms of demographics, the first thing is that there's a lot of uptake of investments from the young people. And when I'm talking about the young people here, I'm talking about the 35 years, at least below 40. Actually, looking at our clientele, and people who are investing in these capital markets, you find there is a lot of financial literacy, a lot of information that is within the youth. So people who are graduating from colleges all the way to the people who are starting the jobs, and some who are young entrepreneurs and young professionals rather, there is a lot of wokeness. And we find that exciting because it's not a difficult conversation to start with them, as opposed to probably our parents whom, you know, they have been there, they have done land, property, and it becomes a very difficult conversation. But again, it's something that it's not, you know, we are by and by getting there. Yeah.
You're getting into a market where, you know, it's highly dominated by three entities.
Yep.
And where the others are trying to crack the market. What do you expect to be a niche market?
I say that, I dare say that, one, the young people.
The young people?
The young people.
Mm-hmm. Do they have the resources?
They do.
Mm-hmm.
We mostly look at the young people in terms of, you know, they just recently graduated from school. Mm-hmm. They probably don't even have a lot of, you know, money to spare. But you will be shocked. We are now in the gig economy, where young people are taking jobs. We are the, you know, the employment space is now borderless, finding people working remotely and making their money. But even the people who have been there, you know, 5-10 years in the job market and making money, they're also asking themselves where to go. And now the conversation that we are having, people who have been there for a longer period of time, is what is the alternative to the traditional investment ways of doing things. Mm-hmm. And that conversation is something that we have found even people who are in their 40s, 50s willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And when you talk about traditional investment sectors, you're talking about institutions like the capital, the equities market. You're looking at the stocks market.
Real estate.
Of the real estate,
yes.
I mean, which has been like the go-to investment
True.
area in the last 15 years.
True.
Is this likely to change anytime soon?
This is likely to change, and it actually, the tides have started changing. Mm-hmm. People are realizing that sometimes we do these investments, and for example, you find that someone is very, very asset rich, but very cash poor. Mm-hmm. And while you climb up the age ladder, you realize that you need to be more liquid, because you know there are bills, you need medical care, you need to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So you find that as much as you have accumulated a lot of immovable assets, you also need cash. Mm-hmm. And so those conversations are what is spurring people. You know, we are at a point where we have more returns and better returns in terms of investments from capital market products than probably real estate than it used to be some years back. Mm-hmm. And therefore, if you find someone who is retiring, they might not just look at, they are not looking at you know, getting into real estate like they used to those days. They are looking at something that could give them income and something that they can liquidate easily. And therefore, that is the starting point for the conversations about investing in capital markets. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You see, sticking by the old mantra that asset is queen,
yep.
cash is king.
True.
Then what are the downsides of having a lot of cash as opposed to investing in immovable assets like gold, like platinum, or hedging your funds against things like gas and oil?
Definitely, we do not actually encourage people to hold a lot of cash, because holding a lot of cash, you know, when you're saving money, you're not just saving it from spending it. You're also mm-hmm. saving it from growing. You are preventing it from growing. Mm-hmm. And number two, you will also find yourself missing on opportunities in the market. So what we do is that we encourage diversification and optimization of any investment that someone has already done. So what we encourage, we look at your portfolio, we look at you as a person, we look at what you have done, and we advise on how to diversify and to optimize that investment so that you have assets that are giving you cash because you need that liquidity. You have some that are semi-permanent and some permanent because you also want to transfer, you know, wealth, transfer that wealth that you have through tears, blood and sweat mm-hmm. Gathered over time. Mm-hmm. So that balance is what is needed.
We've gotten into a situation whereby people are, if you have not invested in land, from where I come from, we call them buroti maguta maguta.
Yes, yes.
if you have not invested in one thing, cancel yourself out.
True, you are out.
You are not an investor.
You are not an investor.
What do you tell people from my place who are keen on investing in Buroti?
This is my encouragement to them. Diversification. And let me give you an example, Kimani. We normally buy land, and I'm happy that you're bringing this topic, because immediately after campus, even before I was 6 months down in employment, I got a piece of land. Someone encouraged me. Now I bought a piece of land somewhere interior in Central. I can't even take you where that place land is. And what was the discussion? Buy this land, it will appreciate, and you will sell it at a premium. And right now, if I needed to sell, one, I don't even know where the place is. Two, I don't even know the market price. And that is the danger of accumulating a lot of assets. The notion has always been land never depreciates. But this is the question. At what rate is it appreciating? Do you even have information that drives the market for land upwards? So my encouragement to people from Murima and where I come from is that it is high time to look at investment as in a diversified manner, so that on one hand you have those pieces of land which are good, but on the other side you have something that brings you cash that you can easily convert, that you can easily sell when an opportunity comes, and invest in that opportunity that arises. Don't over-concentrate your assets so that you are asset rich and cash poor.
When you're talking to young people, where do you tell them to invest in?
The first thing when you're talking to young people, even before you talk to them about places of investment, talk to them about their relationship with money. Remember, Kimani, our perception about wealth, our perception about money is historical. You know how you were brought up, who used to make decisions about money in your family, influences a lot how we perceive wealth, how we perceive money and all that. So before we even talk about investments, we talk about how is your relationship with money. And after that, we talk about what are your goals. So we start with the goal perspective, because if you do not have a goal, then speed is not an advantage. You need to first of all set goals, and when you have set goals, then we start looking at how do you then fund these goals. So we are looking at postponing gratification so that you can buy in for a better future. You start with a relationship with money, go with goals, go to budgeting, and now move slowly towards getting to where that goal is. Yes.
Currently, I mean, you know, the hottest investment idea in town is MMFs, or what we call the money market funds, or fixed income funds. What are you telling people about this?
The first thing is that money market is not an investment per se. Money market is a place to park your money that you are looking to invest in a higher return platform. So, for example, if you have a short-term goal, some of us are parents, we are looking to next month to pay school fees for term 2. You instead of parking that money somewhere where it's not earning interest, why not park it in a money market fund? You have a short-term goal, you are planning to go for holiday, or your birthday is coming, or whatever that short-term goal is, use a money market fund platform to raise that money. So per se, if you look at it in the context of investment, money market is a premier cash management tool. But it's also a good place to start for people who probably don't have the higher minimums for the other fixed income funds. So what we say is that you can start from somewhere. We have seen our market very creative. There are so many collective investment schemes. Companies are very, very innovative when it comes to these platforms. And so there are so many of them. We start from the money market going all the way to all those other capital markets products.
And we are hearing companies, you know, offering some higher returns on some of these MMFs. Is this realistic? Actually, I mean, you're getting companies talking about returns of almost 17% annually. Is this realistic in our world today?
I would say that looking at it from last year to this year, rates have been going down, and that has been catalyzed by, you know, the reduction in the interest rates paid by the government securities. I mean, last year we were buying treasury bills at 14%. Today, the 3 months or 6 months bills are down sub 9%. And so there is that trend downwards, and of course, I believe even the government wants to make it even lower so that they can spur cheap credit and all that. But every fund manager and every investment company, they have their own strategy of investment. Remember, money markets invest in short-term securities treasury bills and short-term bonds. And depending on the combination of the strategies that companies are employing, you can look at, why some are performing better than others. The bottom line is, are these companies registered? Are they licensed by the Capital Markets Authority? That is the first place to begin. You begin by looking at the registration so that you know when you're getting into it, you are getting into a registered and licensed entity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like the fact that you're bringing government investment papers, talking about bills and bonds. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the yield curve here, you're looking at a rate of at most 12%.
Yes.
And in most cases, government papers, they set the tone
as
to what you're likely to get in terms of yield.
Absolutely.
So when you have a company telling you that our returns are 15, 17%, mm-hmm. Should you run?
One, the investment strategy. Let me tell you something that most people don't know. You can actually participate in bonds in the secondary market. Mm-hmm. And in the secondary market is where, you make money through bonds. Because the strategy there is to trade. So the same bond you'd buy at 13, 14%. In the secondary market, it yields 25, 26%.
And when you're talking about secondary market, I help people understand which market is that?
It's the secondary market is the market. The bond market at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Yeah. By the way, O'Brien, I'll shock you. We trade more bonds than we trade shares on a daily basis. Yeah. We are trading bonds of between 6 to 10 billion on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And so if you are, for example, to retire your bond, you would look at a stockbroker or your investment banker or your fund manager, and they would buy and sell it in the secondary market. So we are talking about returns in the secondary market that are higher than in the primary market, which most of us know. Number two, remember the strategies that I talked about by fund managers. You find that fund managers are not just creating products that are limited to the products in the capital markets in Kenya. So you find there are special funds, and these special funds tend to have higher returns than your normal government security papers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This afternoon, and I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, Catherine Achenga. She's a suave and sophisticated investor. Mm-hmm. And she was asking me one question. I mean, where do fund managers and asset managers, invest in to get these kind of returns?
Let me start by saying fund managers in Kenya have been accused of being lazy in the previously. Mm-hmm. The government papers are going to 12, 13%, yeah. And that's the same rate you are giving. Mm-hmm. So fund managers have become innovative in that, one, the markets have become, the world has become a global village. So while we are talking about 12, 13% on papers here, we are talking about very, very good returns in the global space. For instance, there is a resurgence in the stock market in Africa. Last year, we saw markets performing 25, 26, 30. In fact, some markets like Ghana were up 56%. So when you have fund managers who are creative enough to tap into those markets, then definitely you will find them delivering very good returns. You look at the chaos that is happening now, for example. Gold, as we talk today, is at its all-time high.
It's about $3,200
exactly
per ounce.
Yeah, all-time high. And remember, some of these funds are investing. They have some of them have invested in commodities, have invested in minerals. Mm-hmm. So why won't they deliver astronomical performances? They definitely have a reason why they do that, because they are investing in different markets.
I want to hear this from you, and I like the fact that you're bringing in the concept of investing in immovable assets, and of course, tapping the global gold market, the oil market as well. In a situation whereby the world goes into a recession, mm-hmm. What will happen to these investments?
One, different investment funds have different exit strategies. Mm-hmm. And so you find that some of them, they just have a lock period. You can actually, after lock period, you can exit out of those investments. Mm-hmm. But remember, even when we are in recessions, there are places that are always doing better than others. There are markets that are always doing better than others. We are talking about, in our country, for example, the fixed income funds going down, on fixed income assets going down, but on the opposite side or on the other side, the stock market is up. So while one is not doing so well, mm-hmm. the other one is doing quite well. So in any case, at any given point in time, and even if you look at it historically, even when we are in recession, we're always finding that there are other markets that are doing well comparatively to others. And so in as much as we are looking at probably getting into a recession, it's not all gloomy for the investors.
Very well. Yeah. Before I let you go, John, I also want you to help us understand things. I mean, you have 500,000 shillings.
Yes.
You're looking for investment opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
You're presented with an opportunity to invest in a Sacco, in the stock market, in government papers, in land, or in CIS. Where would you invest? Why? And why wouldn't you invest in where?
That's a very, very good question, and I like that example. Let me respond by saying this. Number one, one of the drivers of the choice of investment is the reason why you are doing this. Remember, some of us have longer-term goals. Some of us have shorter-term goals. Some of us are willing to take risk because what we want to do with the money may not be, we could chance, we could, look at the opportunities. While for someone else, this could be a retirement plan. You don't want to chance with it. So the first thing is to look at what is my goal. If my goal is to probably acquire some loan in future, then I am better off putting some of that money in a Sacco. Because all these platforms serve different purposes. We talk about investment in stock markets and in capital markets because of capital gain or capital growth. We talk about putting money or parking it in Saccos when I'm looking for probably a credit facility. We talk about buying land for speculation when you have information about appreciation rates,
yes,
and you have information about, you have concretized what you want to do with that piece of land. I wouldn't tell you outrightly, take the 500,000 in Sacco or take the 500,000 shillings in a money market fund. The first thing to ask is, what do I want to achieve? The second thing is this platform going to help me actualize that? And the third thing would be, am I optimized?
Meaning?
Meaning, if, for example, I want to grow my wealth, is it prudent for me to put all of the 500,000 in one asset? Or will I be optimized if I spread it across different investment opportunities?
You diversify investment
Diversifying them, sure.
Very good. What else do you want to tell us?
I want to tell people two things. Number one, the time to start investing is now. There is no perfect time. Most of us are always waiting.
It's not yesterday.
It's not yesterday. It's not tomorrow. It is now. Because most of us are always waiting for the perfect opportunity for you to be able to invest. It is now. And the reason is because the opportunities that are there here today, if it passed you, then definitely you missed out on it. So the first thing is start where you are. And the second thing is don't always take advice about investments from your friend. Because you will ask someone who has already burnt their fingers or they did it in the wrong way. Always consult a professional, because you are so busy here with telling us or informing us about what's happening in the world. How will you be able to know what's happening in the market, for example? It is only someone like me who will come and tell you, by the way, O'Brien, there is an opportunity here. You can do 1 or 2 or 3 things, and you'll be able to take it. Start from where you are and look for a professional to advise you on investments.
Very good. I think we can close it at that point.
Thank you.
Let's keep trading.
Thank you. Sure. Let's keep trading. Let's keep making money.
Very good.
Thank you.
Kamau, asante sana for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Asante sana.
Well, John Kamau is the head of growth and customer excellence at Avocap Asset Managers, joining us tonight to give us more ideas on where to invest, how to invest, and what to expect. You're watching the Prime Edition, and with the time now coming to 10:05, we are taking our third break of this bulletin, and of course, we'll be back with more stories. Bye.
Zero hash. Tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this beautiful Mazda Demio. Enjoy a beautiful, clean, semi-leather interior, low mileage, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business. Ukitaka kujishindia gari hii, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza *570#, chagua option 3. And for only 35 shillings, hii gari inaweza kuwa yako. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa, because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Mungu ni mwema, asante Mungu. Ile nitakuwa naendesha hivi.
Dial *570# and make this dream car yours.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Sasa hiyo recording ikifall into the wrong hands alafu ufungwe for life.
Mimi nikienda ndani Alex atanifuata tu.
Bila evidence, hii ni story ya jaba.
My dear daughter, yani wewe ulidecide utakuwa kama tent. Unahama na harusi za wenyewe.
Acha kunibeba fala.
I do not care what you're going through or what you think we are doing.
Kaa chini tuanze mkutano.
Nilisema mkiwa nyinyi wote. I hope hii mambo itaenda sawa.
Kwa hivyo kuna mambo nafichwa, si ndio?
It's rude kuangalia simu za wenyewe.
Excuse me?
Mama Jabali lazima mtaishi naye.
A number of smallholder farmers are embracing what we call push and pull intercropping technology to tackle pests by using repellent crops. Here is our reporter Benson Rioba with the details.
Horticulture earnings for Kenya declined 13% to 137 billion shillings in 2024. Kenya is keen on lowering pesticide use in horticulture production to reduce the number of Kenyan horticulture consignment being intercepted in major markets. This is through the use of push-pull technology in fruits and vegetable production. Under the technology, crops that repel pests by their smell are ring-fenced around the main crops, protecting them from pests.
Huu mmea unaitwa comfrey. Ni mmea ambao una manufaa mengi sana shambani. Manufaa yake ya kwanza yakiwa ni kuweza control the spread of pests on the farm. One of the major pests ambazo zina affect, ukiangalia hapo kuna ndizi, ni molds. So huu mmea una repel molds. Ile harufu yake ina repel molds. So ukiangalia ile shamba hata hakuna molds ndani yake because of presence of this comfrey plant.
The technology is also used in cereal production, with a legume planted to repel stem borer and moths from the main crops.
Push-pull technology reduces aflatoxin infestation of the maize crop by reducing mechanical damage of the crop. So we believe it's a circular and regenerative technology.
Apart from pest control, the repellent crop enriches the soils with nitrogen that replenishes the soils.
And it's a regenerative agriculture practice that improves the soil fertility by fixing a lot of nitrogen into the soil.
Push-pull technology also lowers the cost of production due to reduced use of costly pesticides.
Kilimo tofauti na kile kingine ambacho tumekuwa tukikimbia kwa maduka kila wakati kwa sababu ya kununua pembejeo.
Mmea unaweza tumika kama mboga. Wakulima wanaitumia kama mboga wale locally. So ni chakula pia cha wakulima na ni chakula cha wakulima actually.
It's a technology that has enabled farmers to double or even triple their yields. So it's of great benefit to farmers. And also it's a technology that allows integration of crops and livestock.
Kenya, alongside 17 African countries, have embraced the use of push-pull technology that was developed by International Center of Insect Sociology and Ecology. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Police Deposit-Taking Sacco chairperson David Mategwa has welcomed a proposal in the Cooperative Bill 2024 to establish a Sacco guarantee fund, noting that it would go a long way in bolstering the financial stability of Saccos. Frederick Mwoki with the details.
Of a Sacco guarantee fund designed to provide a cushion in times of financial distress. The guarantee fund is also expected to serve as a financial safety net for Saccos that face liquidity challenges or risk collapse due to economic downturns or unforeseen financial crises. The Kenya Police Deposit-Taking Sacco is among cooperatives that have welcomed the proposal to set up a Sacco guarantee fund.
This is what we should have embraced long time ago because it comes with positivity. The members will have the confidence that in the event, and which we don't anticipate, that if something goes wrong to their Saccos, the Triple City Guarantee Fund will come in and sort out as they continue working out on how that organization has gone down.
The bill comes at a time when many Saccos have faced growing challenges in the wake of tough economic time and loss of Sacco funds that had been saved at the Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives Limited. Mategwa is encouraging Kenyans to embrace a culture of saving, especially those in the low-income brackets.
Let's save and save for our sunset, for our financial well-being.
Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
I'll talk about the beauty of Kenya. From majestic Mount Kenya to breathtaking landscapes that captivate the senses, Kahiga area in Nyeri County is indeed a corridor of natural beauty. The area has become a zip-lining hotspot, with thousands drooping to Kahiga to immerse in the beauty and savor the great views of the Aberdares. More details next on Magical Scenes Tonight.
When you arrive at Kahiga's ziplining site, you are greeted by a vibrant tapestry of colors. The beautifully landscaped gardens are a feast for the eyes, bursting with an array of flowers and lush greenery. The air is fragrant with the scent of blooming flora, while the gentle rustle of leaves creates a soothing backdrop to the excitement that lies ahead. Here, adventurers are eager to experience the thrill of soaring through the air. The friendly guides fit you with the necessary safety gear. Their enthusiasm is contagious as they share safety tips and encourage you to embrace the adventure. As you ascend to the first platform, the breathtaking views unfold. The towering peaks of Mount Kenya loom majestically in the distance, their snow-capped summits glistening under the warm African sun. To the east, the Aberdare rolls like waves, their lush valleys and ridges creating a stunning contrast against the skies. The rush of wind envelops you as you zip through the air, a chance to connect with nature in a way that few experiences can offer. Well, Nyeri is not just a destination, but a combination of adrenaline, pumping ziplining, the serene beauty of landscaped gardens, and the awe-inspiring views of Mount Kenya and the Aberdare Ranges create a symphony of nature that is hard to forget.
Tunaita high ropes na low ropes ambayo watu wanamalizana na shida zao za uoga. Ukiwa kule juu, kuna watu wengine wana uoga wa kwenda juu, na kuna watu wengine hata wana uoga wa kukaa mahali hakuna watu. Alafu sehemu hiyo ingine ya mwisho ni sehemu hii tunaita hii kiwanja tunaita event ground. Event ground inakuwa na kazi ya kufanya mambo ya hiyo team building tukitumia vifaa mbalimbali.
It must be said that Nyeri County is absolutely breathtaking. The German government, through the GIZ, is supporting implementation of the Northern Corridor Grain Freight Strategy to reduce carbon emission from cargo transport. This follows the signing of a deal between the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority and GIZ that will prioritize green freight solutions in rail, roads, ports or inland waterways.
The Port of Mombasa has recorded a significant rise in cargo handling from 31.83 million tons in 2019 to over 41 million tons in 2024. The increase in cargo handling has, however, had a corresponding rise in carbon emissions.
We are hoping that this is going to act as a seed money to lay a foundation and be able to develop specific programs that are going to be translated into projects.
To mitigate the impact this has had on the environment, initiatives have been rolled out to onboard cleaner technologies in freight transport.
Germany, the government that I represent, together with our European and other global partners, is fully committed to this collaboration. And we believe that the partnership with the NCTTCA will have a significant positive impact on development and prosperity in this region.
Under the deal between GIZ and the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority, technical assistance will be offered to at least 2 transport infrastructure projects along the corridor.
Our technical teams, both at the Secretariat and in the Member State, have selected priority projects for support under the SDM. Other activities such as capacity development for women and youth in cross-border trade, as well as training in negotiation skills for large-scale infrastructure projects are also on course.
Dr. Deng said the partnership would also involve capacity building for private investment in sustainable infrastructure. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Jet A1, cheza aviator bila data bila credo. Dial *892# for instant takeoff. Pepea bila pressure kucrash au kucash out. Aviator bila data, aviator bila credo. Uko na kabambe, wewe pia ni rubani mnoma. Dial *892#. Jet A1, michezobet.com. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Kushiriki ni miaka 18 au zaidi. BCLB license number 0000664.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. World Masters indoor gold medalist Francis Bowen says he will attempt to break his own 5,000 meters world record at the 2026 World Masters Outdoor Championship set for Daegu, South Korea. Bowen was one of the 4 Kenyan gold medalists at the indoor games in Florida and made this promise on his return to Nairobi with the Team Kenya last night.
With 3 world records to his name, Francis Bowen, one of Kenya's gold medalists at the World Masters Indoor Games, has made a promise to himself to better the times of his records, especially in the 5,000 meters at the World Masters Outdoor Games in Daegu next year.
Kwa majaliwa Mwenyezi Mungu nitaweza, vile mguu yangu itaweza kukimbia, ndaenda mpaka useni mwangu tukikimbia kama kutawezekana, kama kutakuwa na hiyo uwezo. Kwa sababu mwakani natarajia ni shiriki katika mbio ya World Championship Outdoor huko South Korea kama nita qualify. Lakini kwenda huko ndaenda 1500 nifunje rekodi yangu mwenyewe.
Bowen, together with Eric Sikuku, Peter Mwangi and Millicent Doro, won Kenya the 5 gold medals in Florida, with Sikuku bagging 2 gold medals.
Competition ya Masters iko juu. Ni wazee lakini ni uzee tu kwa miaka. On the ground mambo si rahisi. Tumeshinda hivi lakini pia haikuwa rahisi. Tumetoa ulimi huko na wale wenzetu wenye hawakupata fursa tutaambia tu wafanye mazoezi ili wakipata opportunity kama hii pia waende wapeperusha bendera juu.
Peter Mwangi started off Kenya's winning streak when he took the shot put gold in the championship that attracted 4,000 athletes from 98 countries.
It was my first time kwenda indoors. Sijaienda. Na nashukuru Mungu sana kukuja na medal. Okay, sikuwa na experience ya indoors, lakini vile nimeenda hasa nimekuwa na experience kwa sababu kiwanja ni tofauti na yenye tunatumia huko. So ilinipea challenge kwa kiwanja kidogo, but all in all nikakuwa mshindi.
Regina Mulati and Ibrahim Makonjo Muya won Kenya the 3 silver medals as the team returned home to songs and dance to celebrate their outstanding performance at the global event.
Ni mfano mzuri and a very good example to the current
elite athletes and the upcoming athletes waone kama hawa wazee wanaweza fanya mzuri namna hiyo. Hiyo ni kumaanisha hata na wao lazima wajikakamue, ndio wao wanaweza fanya mzuri kama hivyo.
Even with that exemplary performance, the team believed they could have done better if all the qualified athletes made the trip to the United States.
We can do much better if we can have our full house. But unfortunately, we had technical problems, which it will be solved in future. About visa, it was tricky. Even most of Africa teams, they didn't travel because of visa.
Unajua mchezo ukifanyika mzuri, there must be a good cooperation vizuri. So maybe next year or ile mchezo ambayo tunaenda, I think we are going to do better because we have a very good spirit and we are working as a team.
The 2026 World Masters Athletics Outdoor Championship will be held from the 22nd of August to 6th of September in Daegu, South Korea.
Taekwondo bronze medalist Mary Mureu has set her sights on qualifying for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Mureu, a featherweight exponent, is expected to take part in a series of championships that will count down towards her qualification. Mureu, together with 5 other players, are expected to represent Kenya at the forthcoming World Taekwondo Africa Presidents Cup, scheduled for the 25th to the 27th of April in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Mary Mureu has intensified her preparations for the forthcoming President's Cup, fine-tuning her techniques as she eyes a podium place at the championship.
I'm focusing more on blocking my head because mostly in my weight category, most of the girls are really tall nowadays. I think they are cutting from 60-something to under 57 kgs. So also I'm focusing on power and speed.
For her to automatically qualify for the Olympic Games, Mureu should be among the top 5 in her featherweight category by January 2028, a target that she believes is achievable.
From this year till 2026, so they'll just do the so after I compete and get all those points, those points will be removed, and then I'll have to start all over again from 2026 to 2028.
After garnering 20 points at the 7th Asia Taekwondo Open Championship in Pakistan in February, where she won gold, she is determined to do even better in Ethiopia.
This year I went to Pakistan and I competed in Pumze, both Pumze and Kyorugi. Unfortunately, I came in 5th in Pumze and I came in 1st in Kyorugi. And that was my first G Championships to get a gold medal. So it shows me that my training is really working.
Mureu is part of the 6-member Team Kenya that's set to take part in the President's Cup. Reigning national welterweight champion David Mbogo Onyango is eyeing a medal on his debut on international stage.
Tukuna kuchari mwenye ako very careful. So nikienda huko ni only kusikiza na ku maintain. Yeah. Kienda hivyo tournament. Yani ni make sure tuko Kenya kukituka number 1 number 2 hapo.
Head coach Linus Marango expressed belief in the team, calling on well-wishers to come on board and support the squad meet its travel expenses.
We are having Betika backing her. The other players, we are depending on the well-wishers and the government. We are not very sure. But for Merish, it's a sure bet. Betika, they have done well for her. We expect to get more sponsorship from other bodies and other sponsors. The more we get, the better for us.
The team is expected to depart for the Games on 19th for the championship that has drawn over 15 countries from the continent. Bernard Okumu, Prime Edition.
Now, Celestine Nsanzuwera is the winner of the inaugural Sunshine Development Tour East Africa Swing Qualifying School Tournament played at the Power 71 Great Rift Valley Resort. Celestine returned a round of 2 under par 69 to take his overall score after 4 rounds of 4 under par 280. 4 strokes ahead of overnight leader Royal Nairobi Golf Club's John Lejirma, who finished on par par 284. The trio of Dismas Indiza, Greg Snow and Samuel Njoroge finished tied third with a score of 4 over par 288. Celestine Nsanzuera takes home 180,220 shillings in prize money, as Lejirma took home 108,130 shillings, as Snow, Shege and Indiza bagged 56,470 shillings each. There was a playoff at the 18th hole to decide the last two players that will play in the final of the Sunshine Q School tournament after Isaiah Otuke and Justice Madoya and Mike Kisia finished tied ninth. Mike Kisia would place his second shot 5 feet from the pin with 2 putts to claim the 9th place. Home pro Justice Madoya settled for 10th place off a bogey, while Otuke double bogeyed. The 10 will now go to play at the Sunshine Tour final stage qualifier set for the 8th to the 11th of April 2025 in Johannesburg, South Africa.
All the players we have played with, they were good players, but yeah, this was my day.
Regarding today's round, I had a shaky round. I think I was fatigued at some point, but yeah, it didn't go as expected, but that's the game.
I had a playoff for qualifier for Kenya Open, and I missed. So this one I was like, I can't miss it again. Because after I missed that playoff for Kenya Open, it was so bad for me. I said I will not be like that again.
Sasa hiyo ndio inakuja sasa, mimi nikianza kucheza nao vijana kama sasa nacheza nao kila wiki. Sasa tutakuwa tunapigana tu nao kwa sababu nitakupata chance kidogo. Kama ninacheza mzuri kushinda hao kidogo, mimi naenda challenge tu senior tour. Nikicheza huko kidogo na narudi tena.
So that's the sport for tonight. And tomorrow we start keeping up with our ladies who are playing in Abuja at the Women's Africa Volleyball Club Championships. And also, let's build up to the weekend because there's a lot happening. Mary Mora is going to be running in Jamaica, and that is Friday night going into Saturday morning. So over the weekend, a lot of athletics to keep up with, a lot of rugby to keep up with from Singapore, and also a lot of football. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to O'Brien Kimani.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Daniel Wahome, for taking us to the world of sports and, of course, bringing us back home. It's coming to 22:40. That is, well, 22:30 actually. That's what my producer is telling me. And what else do we have to do now? We have to wrap it up. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You have been watching the Prime Edition live from Broadcasting House. O'Brien Kimani is my name. Thank you for your time. Have a good night. Bye for now.
Inuka na Loto Moto sasa kwa star 570 hash option ya 4 kuna kashamba juja na nika 50 by 100 worth 1.7 million Kenyan shillings. Na hii si shamba tu, iko kwa prime location few minutes from Juja Town. Stima yako iko ndani, na kama ni development rapid and so promising. Na mambo ya landlord mwisho